everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Welcome to the first live Q&A of the month. Today's topic is ending 2019 and beginning the new year 2020. So there's a few things I had in mind to talk about. Including doing a few New Year's readings of various sorts. So I'm going to wait a few moments for a few people to join us, and then I will go ahead and get started. I do suggest that you might like to have a journal or pen and paper to write with if you are so inclined. This video will be available for replay, so you are also welcome to come back to this later and to go through everything with me. And it's okay to come in any time. So first we're going to, what I wanted to discuss is how to kind of close this year in a way that lets you kind of step forward into this next chapter with a sense of openness and being in the best possible place to create the life that you want for yourself. Hello everyone. So I came up with a few points of topic for each of these things, and this is meant to be conversational, so I encourage you to comment or to ask questions along the way. So again, I do suggest that you might want to have a journal or something to write on. So ending this year, 2019, I feel as though it is helpful to do a few things to really put what's happened behind you in a positive way so that you can step forward. So first, I want to talk about taking some time to reflect on your year so far, to acknowledge your accomplishments and reflecting on your realizations and lessons. This takes some thinking. I like to keep a planner that has a monthly reflection section as well as a journal, so it's a bit easier to go back and point those things out. But just kind of start with January and think about anything that you achieved. Sometimes we go through life without really taking in our accomplishments and allowing ourselves to take in that victory, no matter how small it is. So I feel it's important to acknowledge these points. So that's my first suggestion. Go through 2019 and think about all your accomplishments, great or small. Maybe you started a new habit of reading regularly or going for walks or stretching. Maybe you started eating better, just eating regularly. Maybe you took the initiative and asked someone out for the first time. Maybe you got a promotion at work. Maybe you finally discovered a hairstyle you really like and that speaks to you. Maybe you cultivated a new sense of peace or had some important epiphanies along the way. So you're welcome to take some time now to do that, and I'll give you a few moments to reflect on your year and just write down some accomplishments. It doesn't have to be a comprehensive list, just think of a few things. I invite you to comment some of your accomplishments in the comments, and I encourage you to congratulate each other as well. I'd like you you guys to do the same thing with your realizations and lessons. To me, they're kind of similar things because I think having an epiphany or learning something is an accomplishment and something worth noting and congratulating yourself for, even if it was a perhaps negatively experienced lesson. So likewise, kind of go through your year and maybe just point out a few things, a few ways you grew, a few things you learned, and a few realizations you had that have brought you a little further forward on your path. Now, if you're kind of thinking like, oh, you didn't really accomplish anything or learn anything this year, I urge you to dig deep, because I know that there is something, if it's things that maybe you wouldn't normally consider an accomplishment. And even if you really truly feel like there wasn't anything, I'd like you to congratulate yourself on being here with us and watching this video, because it does show that you have an interest in growing towards your best self and your best life. And once you have this list of things, I suggest taking however much time you need. It could just be like a few moments or like a day to look over this list of things you came up with and reflect, and to tell yourself that you did well, and to visualize those accomplishments, to kind of like relive them and take with you that feeling of a win, to carry that forward with you and take that into yourself, and to give thanks for the good experiences you had this year and the ways you were able to grow. I feel like it is a positive thing to end the year celebrating in some manner, and it doesn't have to be a party or something extravagant or cost money, just something that makes you feel that sense of celebrating something. So the other thing I feel is important about ending the year is leaving anything unpleasant or bad that happened, to kind of leave it behind as the year turns over, to not carry it with you forward in life. And there are a lot of ways to kind of do this, a lot of symbolic things. If you want, you can take a moment separate from writing all your accomplishments, a different sitting, write down kind of your feelings or whatever things you didn't like about this year or negative things that happened. But I urge you to not go back and read what you've written. Write about it as long as you like. I would say it has to be in that one sitting, so once you get up, you're done. So write to your heart's content. Don't go back and read what you've written. And when you're done, you can just throw that paper away. You can tear it up if you like, just throw it away. I am fond of burning things, so if you have a fire-safe way of doing so, you can burn it. But don't read it, because the important thing is to not ruminate and to not kind of wallow in those negative things. It's just giving you an opportunity to give a final vent and to do a symbolic act that is showing that you're putting that away. You're releasing it. You're releasing it from yourself, so you're not carrying it with you. And you're releasing it for healing if there's anything in what you're letting go of that needs to be healed or resolved. And it's not always an easy thing, but to kind of make a promise to yourself to leave all this behind and to step forward in that moment, forward in life. And it is not an instantaneous thing, so if you do find yourself feeling badly or ruminating on those old things, don't berate yourself for it. just remind yourself that you are stepping forward for your sake. It is a gift you're giving yourself. And to just turn your thoughts back to your goals for this year. And we're going to talk about the next year in just a moment. So it is a mental habit that you just have to replace. So whenever that stuff comes up, just say like cancel and then turn your thoughts to something else. Obviously some things take time to heal, and you may need to reflect on some of those things enough to process them, and that may not happen in that one sitting. It may take time, so let yourself have that. It's just more about setting the intention of leaving things behind, even if you're not fully able to do that, and to be compassionate towards yourself for that. So that is my advice for ending 2019. The other part of ending this year is reflecting on what's ahead, which we'll talk about in a moment. I guess the only thing I'd like to add is to, after you do the exercises to kind of close out the year, just enjoy the rest of the year celebrating being present here in the now. I would like to open the video to doing a few readings, perhaps. The readings at this moment are specifically oriented to the cards telling you about your journey this year, or what you should take away, or advice for you concerning ending this year, this chapter of your life, and so on. So if anyone would like a reading specifically to address that, please comment your favorite color in the comments. The readings will be done with the Psychic Tarot Oracle deck. I may bring in another deck later, but I think this is the one I'd like to use right now. So I will give you guys a few moments to request those readings. I don't promise to get to all the requests, but I will try to respond to at least a few. So if you would like that reading, please comment. If it doesn't seem like there are any requests, then I will move on. Oh, it does look like we have champagne. Favorite color is pink. Alright. So again, this reading is advice to you about ending this year, and any commentary on your journey and takeaway for this chapter of your life. Alright. I am fond of this deck. Susan says that it's my favorite deck. Alright, so for Champagne, we got two cards. It is Fertility and the Shadow. terms, so I can interpret in context to the topic. So, as far as taking away, the takeaway for this year, or advice for closing this year, the fertility card talks about how you have been planting seeds for things you want to bring into your life. And your focus has been on things that you want to create for yourself, as well as I feel as though perhaps there are issues concerning like ideas of kindness, nurturing, mothering. And the shadow card pertains to facing ourselves and the dark side of ourselves, perhaps. So I feel as though the way I actually take this is representing you putting forth your intention for things you want and things you want to create, and this is like facing the things in you that are preventing that, and perhaps you haven't quite found the way to overcome them yet. However, so closing this year, it is acknowledging that those things will need to be faced and worked through in order to get your seeds to sprout, so to speak. And I feel as though, even though you have been faced with that obstacle, that even just being able to encounter it is an important lesson, because you know now, you have an idea of where it is you need healing. So good work. It is not an easy thing to face one's shadow side, so to speak. So I would acknowledge your progress on that and for being brave enough to do that. Well, that's alright, Socrates. You comment as you're able to. So Champagne says I've been working my shadow side a lot, so this makes sense. Well, good. So that's kind of like saying that's what we're closing the year with, and that's what's been. You are welcome. Next, I will read for Socrates. Again, this is just kind of the cards are pointing out aspects of your journey through this year, as well as potentially giving advice on bringing this year to a close. So for Champagne, it's continuing to work through obstacles, the shadow. Sometimes obstacles can become opportunities. Transform them into a road, and then you'll be able to better manifest the things you want. So Socrates. Sorry, I fumbled the cards and half the deck spilled on the ground. That was all meant to be a message. They're just going to have to be a little more brief. This one away so I can spread them out. So for Socrates, emotional loss is the card that has come up. So what it would like to talk about your journey through 2019 and drawing it to a close is healing the vulnerable and hurting parts of your heart and being, to nurse your wounds, so that you can step into the following year from a place of courage, strength, and with your full self in the presence, to really step forth to kind of finish resolving this, so that way your energy is free to progress. That helps. Next is John Sullivan. Again, bringing up, the cards are bringing up aspects of your journey in 2019 and how to bring this year to a close. Interesting. Let's leave it at this. Boy, looks like you've had a lot going on. This order doesn't feel right. There we go. So, John, you have 4 cards. The first is partnership and alliances, then temptation, patience and planning, and memories of love. So in 2019, it talks about having joined forces with someone or something, working together with people. And what I see is struggling with balances of power, struggling with the idea of balance between you and other important people in your life, whether it's in love, business, or family, etc. Struggling to find that balance and knowing that successful partnerships require an even exchange. Oh, thank you. Is that coffee?
It is. It's the second cup.
Wow.
You like the second cup today.
Thank you. Oh.
And which things we call it? I'm gonna wait to go to the store until probably tomorrow.
I think that's for the best.
I'm gonna go curl up and try to get warm.
The windows are not as desperate a situation as they were. All right. Continuing with John. Temptations. This talks about struggling against falling into old patterns, especially in relationships, old habits, mentally and emotionally. So it has been tough. The next 2 cards is patience and planning. I think, so these 2 are kind of commenting on your year. And the other 2 I feel are advice for you. So the cards definitely want to help you out. So patience and planning is kind of straightforward. It's suggesting that creating the life you want and creating change and creating something excellent for yourself takes time. It takes patience and planning. But persevering, thinking about the details, setting yourself up for success, having the patience to kind of go step by step and set it all up for yourself, and changing Sorting through relationships and getting out of old habits does take patience because it's not easy to break a habit. And the last one is memories of love. I feel as though this is something that sustains you, is to kind of reflect back to a time when you really felt like you were yourself and you really felt loved by someone. Remember what that was like in contrast to the things, situations, and relationships you've been struggling with this year. I feel like you do know what it's like to be in a healthy situation, and that you can have it again, and that those memories can keep you going. Alright, and then we have Susan Lee. So again, I am doing readings about your year 2019. The cards are telling you about important parts of this year for you to acknowledge and how to bring this year to a close for your highest good so that we can step forward. And soon we're going to start talking about how to get ourselves set up for success for the next year. My goodness. Susan. Your reading is very similar to John's, talking about important parts of this year and then giving you advice for how to close it. You're welcome. So Susan, commentary on your journey for this year is transformation and truth. So this has been a year of a lot of changes, and it can feel kind of like it could have been kind of painful. Like transformation always insinuates something coming to an end, something dying, to be transformed. So there's been a lot of turning over. And a lot of this has been prompted by truth and authenticity being part of your journey, living more in alignment with what you believe is good and fair and right. And so this has been kind of a struggle, kind of living more in alignment with what you feel is truthful. And now its advice for how to bring this year to a close is spiritual strength and foundation and achievements. So it advises you to continue to be strong and to stick to what you know is right and to your sense of authenticity, and to dig deep within and stay centered and stay in that peace and inner knowing. If you do that, you are building a foundation for future growth and achievement in the year ahead. So this is very important that you continue to be true to yourself. And that's for Susan. We have a request from Jewel Joseph, aka Desiree Richards. Again, talking about the cards will be telling you important parts of your journey in 2019 and advice on how best to bring this year to a close so you can step forward fresh and new. situations and leaving all old situations behind. Excellent. I did touch on that briefly earlier in the video. It will be available for replay if you'd like to go back. So for Jewel, you got the card Mental Conflict. So this is describing your journey through 2019. A lot of these cards are quite literal and straightforward. So this is describing how you've kind of been at odds with yourself, trying to figure out what's right and how things should be and what you're willing to live with, and contending kind of with the situations and other people in your life and trying to sort it all out for yourself and feeling very at odds the whole time. So the best thing you can do for yourself to bring this year to a close is to resolve this mental conflict, even if the situations around you are still a mess. You can be resolved and clear within yourself. Let's see if there's anything I'd like to add from the book. That's a good thing. A lot of this conflict comes from indecision and self-doubt. So the best way to bring this year to a close is to get clear with yourself, believe in yourself, and make decisions that you are willing to stick to. So there you are. Just going to check the comments. All right. Since I'm through all the requests currently, I'm going to move forward. For those of you who do use cards, if you're watching this on the replay, I highly encourage you to just, after you've done the reflections I discussed earlier in the video, to take your divination tool and to ask just for the cards to tell you about your journey in this year, and to ask the question, how can you best close this year for your highest good? All right. So next, we talked about ending 2019, so now we are going to discuss beginning 2020. Again, I mentioned this earlier, I suggest perhaps having a journal or something to write with during this. So the first thing I'd like to talk about beginning the next year is to note the importance of your choices and how they create your future. I do read intuitively for a lot of people frequently, and I'm often asked about the future. And the thing about the future is that the future is always forming, it's always coming together, and it's never set in stone. And what creates the future is our choices and decisions. Many times, if I look into someone's future, I may not see anything, or I may not see any future in regards to what they've asked about. And it's not because there is no future. It is that they have not made a decision or made a choice that would set events on course for something to come into being. So we are going to discuss goal setting and thinking about what is important to you and what you want to create for yourself. So it's very important to discuss that if you want things to be different in your life, If you want to create something different, if you want situations or relationships in your life to change in this next year, you have to make a decision of some kind. You have to set things in motion. Right now, you're on a track. All choices have consequences. It's just sort of logic. If you do something, things result. So far you've been making decisions or making decisions to not make your own choices. That has set you on a course of constantly experiencing the unfolding consequences of that. And for some of you, this isn't so good. And for some of you, you've made choices in life that are creating that. So that is a good thing. So you want to stay on track. So if you want to create something different, you have to actually make a choice that turns your direction enough to unfold a future, unfold consequences that create what you want. So just think about the kind of choices you've been making or not making. Because that's important too. If you haven't been responsible for your life, if you haven't been the one making decisions, that is a choice you've made. So if you want things to be different, you will have to start making choices for yourself to put yourself in a direction you want to go. Your choices create your future. So the next thing I'd like to talk about and that I'd like you to reflect on is, what are your values and priorities? What do you really care about? This is something you need to figure out for yourself before you set any goals for the next year, or set goals of any kind for any amount of period. A lot of times we can set goals and we are unmotivated to accomplish them, or we just don't follow through. And that's because we haven't really considered to think about what it is we really want first. We create goals about what we think we should accomplish or what we should be doing rather than what we really truly care about. Because when you really want to achieve something, it tends to be a bit more easier to keep on course. There are a few other factors, of course. So there are a few different ways to kind of reflect on this. You can write down, just kind of without editing yourself, write for as long as you'd like the things that you want for yourself for the next year. What your goals are, what you'd like to have happen. You can just write down like 3 things, or you can actually go out and list everything as detailed or as briefly as you like. The point is that after you've done that, to think about how you feel about each of these things. Is there a kind of frantic feeling associated with needing to accomplish this goal? Is it something you feel like you should do? Or do any of your goals involve a feeling of like you really shouldn't be doing such and such, so you need to get this done? Think about if these are things you really want for yourself, or if you've written down things that are other people's goals, things other people want you to want, things other people want you to be, want you to accomplish, etc. So think about if these are really your own ideas that you've written down. So it's important to get clear about that. The next step would be to just take time to answer, what is it that you really care about? What are your priorities? What are the most important things to you and in your life and that you want for yourself? What is a feeling that you want to have about yourself and your life? Is it security or power or ease, the freedom to do as you like, comfort, love, nurturing, feeling like home is a sanctuary and respite? I mean, it's really kind of an endless spectrum of what you really want and why. is it that you really value? And it's important. There's no wrong answer. If it's really money, it can be money, but um, an example, I guess I'll give a few examples. For example, you could have written down the things that you want to accomplish, like start a family, make more money, get fit, get a new wardrobe, etc. And then you think about it and you're like, what I really value is money because it gives me a sense of security and the freedom to enjoy my life and to develop myself as a person. And I feel good about myself when I feel like I'm growing. So if that's the most important thing, and then you're like, I'm not sure that I actually want a family. I think maybe this is something my mother wants for me, or other people have told me my whole life I should want. It's important to sort that out because, let's say, for example, the pressure on you to start a family is like enormous. It's like it's something you've heard your whole life. You need to find a partner, settle down, and reproduce. Um, you might actually invest the majority of your time seeking a viable partner and getting your life set up to have children, or having children before you're like you're comfortable or ready for it in a material way to care for new lives. And you're actually not investing because you're investing so much in that, but your other goals suffer because you're not putting as much into them, like for example your fitness or your career to make more money, even though it's something that someone else wants for you and not yourself deep down in your heart. And that's why it's important to reflect on that. It could be the opposite. Maybe everyone's really emphasized the importance of money and status and career, but what you really want is a family, people to take care of, a feeling of being in an environment that's warm and nurturing. But again, if you're following what you feel you should be doing the most, you could be investing all your time in a career and gaining more income and just kind of feeling empty at the end, so you come home and no one's there, and it's just not really what you wanted for yourself. And so the real thing is just knowing what matters to you. Obviously, those are extreme examples. Most of you probably want both. It's just an example to illustrate how it's important to get clear about what you want, other people, and what is actually important to you, not what you feel should be important to you, so that going forward you're investing your time and energy in what actually matters and getting more done and advancing yourself further, rather than kind of spreading yourself thin with all these things that you feel like you should be doing. So I strongly emphasize that there are no wrong answers. Just be honest with yourself. Because when you are and your attention's on the things that you actually care about, you will get further along. And you'll find that the world and the universe kind of has a way of supporting you, and things kind of happen a little more easily when you're actually going after something that's important to you. So that is something you should reflect on, all that before trying to set your goals. And of course, it's possible to pursue several things. Just sneezing. The next point I'd like to cover is setting a goal for your year. Sometimes we can set up a lot of things we want to accomplish, and there are a lot of things we want to do. But I feel that it really is for the best to have fewer goals rather than more, for a few different reasons. So I would say choose between 1 and 5 goals for 2020. If you're if you've never tried goal setting before or trying to manage your time, you may want to just pick one thing that you would be pretty happy about accomplishing over the next 12 months. This is not the only goal you're going to be working on for the next year, so don't worry. It's just sort of like a slightly larger goal you're working towards. So I would say between 1 and 5. How many is up to you, and it could be a bit tough because there may be a lot of things you want, but it's important to just pick a few things, so you only have so much time and energy in a day, and it gives you something to focus on rather than thinking about all the things that you want. So you want to take some time to decide what is the next natural step for you, what you want the most. My next suggestion is to think about each month. There are two different, I'd say you shouldn't plan your month goals for the next year all right now. It should be kind of more like, as each month comes, you set your goals for what you'd like to accomplish in that month. You can set goals for each month the whole year ahead, whatever works for you. And I suggest between 1 and 3 monthly goals. I suggest that at least one of those goals should be a step that advances yourself toward your year goal. So you're doing a little something, a step each month that brings you naturally closer to accomplishing your year goal. So you've kept that in mind and you've created time for that, and you're making it a priority and focus. All your monthly goals don't have to be about your annual goal. Sometimes there are things you want to accomplish that just don't need that much time to get done. They can be accomplished or at least advanced within a month, and you may carry your month goals over several months until you accomplish them. The next point is in concerns to this goal setting, to pace yourself and to balance the idea of realistic expectations along with challenge and stretching yourself. If maybe you've always struggled with goal setting or accomplishing goals you set for yourself, perhaps it would be better for you to set goals that you know for a fact you can accomplish in the time period, so like realistic or easy expectations. Because sometimes in the beginning it's more important to get a win under your belt, so you build confidence and you feel good and you're like, I set a goal and I accomplished it. This is good. Eventually, I do feel like it's healthy and exciting to stretch yourself a little. So eventually you'll, again, it's that balancing of with the goals you set, realistic expectations, and balancing that idea with stretching yourself past your comfort zone and challenging yourself. And I feel as your confidence grows, you'll be more comfortable with setting goals that are challenging. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind as you go along. And to the idea of like pacing yourself. One of the reasons I say to only set so many goals, like only a few goals for the year or a few goals each month, is to be realistic about how well you manage your time and how much you actually can accomplish in the time period. So you're not feeling frantic or spread thin, or you want to set yourself up for success. You don't want to set things up so you feel like a failure at the end of it. For example, let's say for the next month you set like 10 goals you want to accomplish, and let's say you accomplish 7 of them. You could still feel like a failure because you didn't accomplish all your goals. But in your eyes, you still just didn't make it. Versus say you set 1 goal for the month, and you manage to accomplish 5 things, including that goal, that are really important. And that's like a wild success, even though you didn't, the second scenario, you accomplished fewer things than in the first. In the second one, you feel like uh, a winner, or you, there's a feeling of success because you exceeded the expectation you set for yourself. And sometimes that could be better. Of course, in the first scenario, if you fall short, there isn't actually anything wrong with that. It's really about your attitude. So a lot of this goal setting is acknowledging your own nature and how you kind of tend to treat yourself, and thinking about how you'll feel about different things, and being realistic about your nature and keeping that in mind, so that way you don't frustrate yourself or discourage yourself partway through the process. You want to set yourself up for the next year in a way that is understanding of your nature and that encourages you to keep going and to finish. Hi, Angela. Yes, I'm glad. The video will be available for replay for anyone who needs to go back. So yes, there is no right way or wrong way. There are lots of systems and ideas people have about how to set your goals for the next year and go about it. I feel goals are a good thing and a good method to use. So I'm going to repeat myself a little bit to kind of bring it all together. Your choices create your future, so it's important to kind of make your decisions about your life and not just kind of let things happen, to actively place yourself on the track you want, so things can unfold for you. You need to get clear about your values and priorities and what you really care about, and to get clear about what things you feel like you should be doing are actually other people's goals that you've taken on for yourself, and what is actually important to you. I suggest only setting between 1 and 5 year goals, and each month only setting between 1 and 3 goals. And this is because this is something I found very helpful for me, is that you need to pace yourself and to have realistic expectations, which you can balance with how much you want to stretch yourself past your comfort zone. Sometimes it's more important to give yourself a feeling of success, to set something that you know you can definitely accomplish, and to set yourself up for success for the year every step of the way. Knowing, being realistic. Maybe, sure, some people can get 20 things done in a day, but maybe you can't, and there's nothing wrong with that. The same thing for year and month goals. You don't want to run yourself ragged. There's not really a reason for that. This is your life, and you should be able to be in the present moment and still enjoy things while you are progressing yourself. If you focus only on what you're trying to achieve all the time, then you are kind of missing out. The last thing that I really wanted to talk about was, okay, so you've thought about all this, and you have figured out a few goals that you'd like to accomplish with the next year, and you've set a few goals for January. At least one of them is advancing you a step closer to your year goal. Another thing that is good to consider is taking a hard look at your obstacles and how you are in your own way in concerns to these. Figuring out where you're stuck, where your blocks are, whether it's baggage you're holding on to, beliefs or feelings you hold about not deserving the things that you set goals for. It could, I don't want to focus on too much, but it could be a lot of negativity in your environment, people are very down-putting or whatever. That is a challenge that should be acknowledged. And you will want to take time to release and clear these things. It can take time to kind of wear those things down and remove them. And how you want to go about that is up to you. I do practice magic, so I do like to kind of write down. I used to write down the beliefs I had about not deserving things or other kinds of blocks. I would even write down about other people in my life and how I felt they were in my way, and I would burn the piece of paper. And whether I was right or wrong didn't matter. I was releasing it to be resolved and healed, and just kind of like taking that energy for myself and releasing it, and kind of making a symbolic gesture to myself that I'm committing to letting go of this, even if it's not all of it right away. It's something important I've discovered about manifesting your life or magic is that it's a lot easier to manifest the end you want if you remove the things in the way. Because obviously you have to work a lot harder for the same result if you're pushing past everything, which you can still do. It's just a suggestion for making it easier on yourself and efficiency. Again, so many ways to do this. If you can go through cognitive behavioral therapy. You could burn block busting candles or road opener candles. Road opener spells are great. I did so many of those last year. You can do the simple ritual I described. Take a black candle, write all that crap down, burn it. Taking time to reflect with yourself and dig deep for those blocks and beliefs, and kind of logicking your way through them and saying, this, I wouldn't think this about another person. I wouldn't tell them that they don't deserve to have good things in their life. So why am I telling myself this? Or whatever way works for you to get through it. You might choose to talk to someone you know who loves and supports you to help you process it. So just process it, let it go, and replace it with other beliefs. So you can take the rest of the time in this year and continue to do that clearing and releasing through the next year. It's okay to not have everything planned and perfect before 2020 gets here. It is a continuous process that is just part of life. Healing and releasing and living and pursuing joy and living in joy in the now, and connecting with others, connecting with yourself, so on. So all these things are ways to kind of set yourself up for success. Those are all the thoughts I had in my head that I noted down. I'd like to open, of course, you're welcome to comment and ask questions about anything at any point, but I invite you to do it now. Otherwise, I'm going to do some more readings, except these readings are going to be about the next year. So we did readings earlier about how to end 2019. So now we're going to do readings about the next year. And I'll describe exactly what that reading will be in just a moment. I'm going to enjoy some drinks. I've been talking a lot. Thank you for the compliment. Hello everyone in the comments. Alright, so now I am going to be doing readings. These are going to be simple readings, just some advice for you about the year ahead. Something to keep in mind, some kind of insight about your goals or about the year ahead. I'm kind of leaving it open to just them advising you about the next year of your life. And I'm going to be using the same deck as earlier, the Psychic Tarot Oracle deck. So if you would like a reading, just comment your favorite color. Excuse me. Thank you, Angela. So I don't promise to get to everyone, but I will at least do a few for sure. Hasn't been crazy or anything, so I think I will probably get to everyone who asked for one. I do have a few things I want to tell you guys about at the end of the video, so stay tuned for those announcements. Right. Andy Hannah is first. Blue. So again, this reading is general advice about the next chapter of your life, the year 2020. How to best step forward. Alright, so Andy has gotten this card, and it is called Light. I'd like to review the key terms, just so I keep in mind. So this is a very positive card, and it's telling you to remember to let who you truly are shine, and to not be afraid or feel like you need to hide yourself, to trust that things are unfolding as they need to, and to know that in one's light, nothing can stay hidden. So it's important to be true to yourself, because that kind of, it's going to illuminate some things in your life in the year ahead and reveal things slowly, because in the presence of light, darkness is chased away. So I feel as though there's some things that have been obscured that will be revealed if you can remember to be true to your inner nature. Next is Desiree Flores. Gotten Fulfillment of Wishes, also a very positive card. So, speaking of stepping forward into 2020, it suggests that the things you desire are on their way to being fulfilled, and to allow yourself to receive them. Let yourself have and enjoy good things, and remember what it feels like to receive things you've been hoping for. And that the best thing you could do for yourself is to heal any past memories that are holding you back, and to forgive yourself and others, just to kind of clear the way for those good things to come into your life in the year ahead. Don't hold out good things on yourself. Anu Chauhan is next. I need to drink this. My cup gets cold. So this is for Anu Chauhan. This card is moving on. Obviously, some of the titles of these cards are quite literal, concerns to their meaning. So, obviously, stepping forward into the next year, the best way to step forward is to step forward, to move on, to leave the past behind, allow yourself to heal and to let it go, and that when you have done that, and while you're doing that, and you're engaging in that healing, you will be able to set your goals and desires to secure a more positive and successful future, because your mind will be more settled and less worried, and it'll be easier to kind of step into a positive path. Next is Joe Heron. Stepping into 2020. So for Joe, we have recognition and reward. I just like to reflect on it. This card is pretty straightforward. Stepping forward into the new year, praise yourself, acknowledge your accomplishments and how far you've gone, and really let yourself feel proud. You've earned it, and anything good coming to you, let yourself have that good. Let yourself enjoy it and take it in, because you have earned it. You perhaps don't believe that. This is the best way ahead. Accept praise, accept compliments, accept rewards. Let yourself have those good things. You do deserve them. Thank you, Andy. Ian, and everyone else, the video will be up for replay, so you can go back and catch it all. So, comment your favorite color. I am doing readings about the new year. This is about the year 2020. Advice the cards have for you about stepping forward into the next year. I've gotten through all the current requests. I do have some other things I want to talk about, but I will give it a moment for anyone else to make a request if they would like that. Alright, next one's for Ian Morgan. So again, be sure to comment if you would like a reading. This is the longest one yet. They've all been one card. For Ian, it is 3. You're welcome, Joe. Yes, you have. You have been working hard, and you deserve all the good things coming to you. This is for Ian. The first card is Prosperity Begins. So this is suggesting that there are that this is a new chapter, a new beginning, and there are good things ahead. The seeds have been planted, and to just let yourself, keep on going. The second card talked about passion ignited. Allow yourself to be enthusiastic and to feel what you feel. You have a force and feelings in you that drive you forward, that are a natural driving force, and I feel as though in the past sometimes you have squelched them, because it can be very exposing to be outwardly enthusiastic, and to stop that this year. It will carry you forward further. The last card is discontent and boredom. This does talk about kind of a danger where one can kind of get complacent and dissatisfied with one's circumstances, and may not be, it can be kind of discouraging to try to change anything. So to know yourself and be mindful of that, and to not get into a rut. Stay connected to what you're building for yourself. Stay connected to your passion. And don't get too comfortable. That's the advice for 2024 for you. Alright. Does anyone else have a request? I'm doing readings about how best to step into the new year 2020. Comment your favorite color. You're welcome, Amy. Jamie Davis. Donations are optional. I'm not going to tell you to not donate. These are not collective readings. They are for individuals. Purple. So this is how best to step forward into the new year 2020. I just feel like someone's talking to me, which is not the usual. I don't work with guides and spirits for my readings because I don't want to. But I almost feel like someone's talking to me. I see an image of you with standing next to a suitcase that is orange. At first, I thought perhaps it was pertaining to the idea of travel. And it may be. I think it's literally saying that you are taking baggage with you into the next year. Orange relates to stress. Stressors, carrying a baggage of stressors with you into the new year. And they're kind of like, she keeps bringing this forward with her all the time. And we keep trying to get her to leave it behind, but she won't. Told to me, so I thought I would say that. There's a firm sense of like, I know, not getting a card. That's the image. So I guess I would assume it's someone associated to you, a guide or some such. So the best way to step forward into 2020 for you is to finally leave whatever this is behind, like expectations you've put on yourself, trying to fulfill all the shoulds other people put on you or that you've put on yourself. It's just this bag of stress that you continue to take with you forward. And then it's like the frustration I feel from this entity is like you step into new chapters of your life. with this baggage of old feelings and old stress. And so instead of getting a fresh start, there's like the sense of perpetuating all the things that were wrong in the prior situation and not really moving forward. So it's like they keep guiding you to opportunities that kind of end up being spoiled. So that's your reading. Alright. Jamie says, I've done everything to leave it. Last night I did a full chocolate cleansing and got very sick afterwards. How can I get rid of it? I feel like this is one where you can't really shortcut it through energetic healing. It's like a psychological thing. It's like holding on to ideas about how you should be or how things should be. Again, kind of like ideas from yourself or other people about how it should be. So it's like you kind of have to face them and to see things a different way, basically. The only way to stop bringing this with you, it's kind of like bringing distrust or expectations of how a man or woman should be in a relationship into a fresh relationship and then ruining it. It's the same thing, but like with life, the only way to change that is to actually look at yourself psychologically and ask yourself, is this really the best way I can look at things? And to do the hard work of changing those mental habits in each moment, in each day, and it can take years to fully change that mental habit. Sometimes there is just no shortcut with healing, and you just can't fool yourself in the end. Alrighty, so I am going to move on. So reading requests are closed for the moment. So if anyone has any questions about anything I've discussed during this video, please ask. If anyone has any questions about bringing 2019 to a close and beginning the next year from a spiritual perspective, or in a way that best facilitates your ability to manifest what you desire, please ask. I am now going to talk about some other things, but as the questions come up in the comments, I will answer them. It's not really kind of that reading. It's a live Q&A, so there are like strict like segments of when there are readings. If you do donate, I can pull a card for you at the end of the video. I'm willing to do that. Alrighty. Distinctly, the card for you was refused because that other message came in. So, just to keep in mind. Anyway, while you guys think about if you'd like to ask anything, I am offering a New Year reading package. You'll kind of see about that at the end. The end slide will have the rate for it. I'm going to be doing an astrological wheel tarot reading, and I'm going to be correlating it with your birth chart to kind of get an interpretation for how your year ahead will go. And I have found this very helpful for insight in things I'm doing right, things I want to change. Because again, if there's something in that reading that I don't like, I know that I just need to make different decisions to change it. So that is something I'm offering. If that is something that interests you, please message me to arrange. I will be posting about it on my page as well. So I am going to describe what that reading is, because you're also welcome to do this reading for yourself. So let's see how I'd like to try and show this. Oh, you're okay, Jamie. I'll do it. I'll see if I can get one for you at the end. So there isn't like a ton of space here. So I'm just going to set up an example. I have a lot of things on my desk, just because I do a lot of different kinds of things. So it's a 12 card reading. 1, 2, 6, 7. Normally it's like in a circle shape. And each card represents an aspect of your life and how that is going to unfold over the next year. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Sorry. Alright, so we're gonna point this down. And you will only kind of see so it is a 12 card reading. And when I send you the images, it will send you come across as something like this. And I will kind of talk about the different things it'll talk about. So 12 aspects. The first one kind of talks about you, changes in yourself you'll experience in who you are, your personality, and kind of the core themes of the year. The second card will talk about your possessions, material aspects, perhaps how your values change. The third talks about your mind, communications, friendships. The fourth, your home life, family, your emotional development through the year. The fifth, children if you have them, creation, your creative life, short-term romances and flings. It'll talk about work. It'll talk about your relationships generally with everyone. It'll talk about marriage if you're in one, or what's going on in your deeper subconscious self. It'll discuss education and travel, as well as your career, income, your reputation, your social life, and kind of like the point of weakness for the year, where your struggle will be, and other things. I don't want to misquote my own rate for it, so there's a last slide, an end screen you'll see at the end of this video that'll have the rate, and of course I will be posting about this reading as well. I do believe that the New Year's reading also includes a numerological reading done by my fiance, the Kitchen Witch, which includes your year number, which kind of discusses the overall theme and lessons of the year ahead. This is a reading we've been doing for ourselves for like the past 7 years, and it's always been very insightful. So I just wanted to tell you about that. That's something we're doing. Also, I would like to say on a different subject, my inbox is always open if you want to ask your questions there. You don't want to ask on a public forum about anything that came up in the video, or if you just need advice about something. Just to keep that in mind. Alright, so I'm going to see if I can get Jamie a card. Stepping into the year 2020. pretty good. We got 2 cards. Alright, so the first card is Power, and this is pretty straightforward. This is talking about how you have everything you need to step forward. So you have all the power and responsibility for yourself and to move yourself forward, which also means that you're the only one holding yourself back. But you have it in you, you can do this. The next card is Deception and Envy. I'm actually going to review the key terms for that one, because it's a very interesting card. So unfortunately, this card is quite straightforward how it sounds like. It's a warning telling you to be mindful of situations and other people. Things may not be entirely what they should be, so be very diligent, double check everything, and be aware that other people may be jealous. But you, again, the first card is Power, so you have the power to get through whatever comes up. Trust yourself and rely on yourself. So that's for you. Thank you for the compliment, Andy. Well, since there are no more questions, at least that I've seen yet, I am going to draw this live Q&A to a close. Don't want there to be too much dead space in the video. Sorry to hear that, Jamie. Yes. So it is telling you to be mindful going into the next year. So I would like to thank everyone who has joined me today over this video. If you enjoyed this live Q&A, I highly encourage you to like and follow my Facebook page, Lysander Xanthus, or at sign Lysander Clairvoyant. I do about 2 live Q&As about different metaphysical topics a month. I have another one in 2 weeks pertaining where we will be talking about your spiritual path. So I encourage you to check out my events page to see if you'd like to participate in any future live events. I also do 2 moon rituals a month, one for the moon and full moon. I also do frequent reading videos. I offer private readings and energy healing. And so please like and follow my Facebook if you'd like to catch all that. If you would like to support my work or you've enjoyed my videos, donations are optional but highly appreciated if you're inclined to do so. You can do so through PayPal. The email for PayPal is on screen below me. I believe the link for PayPal is to donate to PayPal is in the description of the video, paypal.me/Lysanthus. If you would like more information about me and what I do and about my work, please visit patreon.com/freedomdreamcoaching. That link is at the bottom of the screen and also in the description of the video. You will learn about me, my partner, the Kitchen Witch, what we're trying to create, the content of spiritual coaching about lifestyle and how to grow. And you'll read about our goals that we're working towards and how you can help us move towards them and how we can grow together. And it is a site where you can apply to a monthly subscription and you'll be able to access exclusive content depending on what level you subscribe at. That also includes free weekly or monthly readings. I think the biggest subscription is like a monthly or a weekly private 1-hour reading, and at the beginning of each month you get a psychic forecast for the month ahead. So that's like the most, the biggest one. And also part of the rewards is joining our private Facebook learning group where I am teaching people the path of spirituality I learned, building a solid foundation for your gifts to grow and to explore while keeping your well-being in mind. So I really, truly hope that you'll join us on Patreon and that you'll join me on my page every morning. Last thing, every morning I do a morning report giving you daily guidance. So if you subscribe to my page, you'll also see that. Alright, I think that's everything. Thank you again for watching, and I hope that you have enjoyed this video. This video is available for replay, so you can go back and watch through. I highly encourage you to use a journal and kind of write through some of the things I talked about. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all again soon. Be blessed. May you have a magical year ahead of you.